She said, "Let's just be friends," and broke up with me after 1 year together. I thought she meant it, until I stopped treating her like a girlfriend. When I started dating her cousin, the girl who wanted freedom decided she wanted control instead. That's when everything exploded. She looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Let's just be friends." After a year together, one full of late-night talks, weekend trips, and plans that felt permanent, she said it as if it meant nothing. I remember standing there, not angry, not even heartbroken, just numb. I thought she wanted freedom, so I gave it to her. I stopped calling, stopped checking in, stopped being the person she could lean on. For a while, I really believed she meant it. I convinced myself that letting go gracefully was the mature thing to do. But the funny thing about letting someone go is you get to see what they really wanted. Because the moment I stopped treating her like a girlfriend, she started acting like one again. And when I began dating her cousin, what came after changed everything. Emma and I had been together for a little over a year, though if you asked anyone around us, they'd swear it had been longer. We weren't just dating, we were practically living together. Her toothbrush was next to mine, half her clothes lived in my closet, and my Spotify playlists were full of songs she'd added for the vibe. Our friends joked that we were basically married without the paperwork. And honestly, I liked it that way. We fit, it felt easy. Until little by little it didn't. Emma started going out more. Just a quick drink with co-workers. It's my friend's birthday. You don't have to wait up. I noticed she began using words like space, freedom and independence more often. Words that didn't used to belong in our vocabulary. She'd talk about wanting to travel solo, about how some people lose themselves in relationships. And even though I didn't fully understand, I listened. Because when you love someone, you try to make room for whatever they're reaching for. Then one night, she said it, "I think we should just be friends." No fight. No tears, just calm, deliberate words like she'd been rehearsing them. I didn't argue. Maybe I should have. But instead I nodded, said if that's what you need, and watched her pack a few things. Before leaving, she added softly, "I don't want us to stop talking. You're still one of my favorite people. We just don't work as a couple." At the time, that sounded mature, kind even. So I told her, "Sure, we can still be friends." But I had no idea that those words would become the start of something much more complicated. At first, I kept my distance. I didn't text good morning. I didn't check in when she was out late. I focused on my own life again. Gym, work, actual sleep. I even did something small but symbolic. I changed the passwords, Netflix, Spotify, Amazon, all the things we used to share. It wasn't out of spite. It just felt right. We weren't a couple anymore. We didn't need shared accounts. I also stopped lending her my car when she just needed to grab something, stopped keeping her extra house key in the drawer, stopped being available 24/7. For me, that was what being friends looked like. Friendly, but with boundaries. For her, though, it was something else entirely. At first, she played it cool. She'd send random messages like, "Hope work's not killing you," or "Remember this place," with a photo of her coffee. I'd reply politely, nothing more. Then one night it rained hard and she called. Her car broke down, she said. She was stranded. For a second, my old instincts kicked in. I reached for my keys, but then I stopped. "Did you call roadside assistance?" I asked gently. She paused. "You're not coming?" I said, "You said we're just friends, Em. You'll be okay." She let out this small, disbelieving laugh. "Wow, okay." Then hung up. I stared at my phone afterward, feeling strange, not guilty, not relieved, just aware. Aware that something had shifted. A few days later, she texted again. "You don't have to ignore me, you know. Just because we're not together doesn't mean you should act like a stranger." That line stuck in my head, because I wasn't ignoring her. I was simply doing what she asked for. But I started realizing, when she said, "Let's be friends," what she actually meant was, keep treating me like your girlfriend, but without the label. And when I stopped doing that, and when I stopped being her emotional safety net, her tech support, her Uber driver, her 24/7 therapist, she didn't know how to handle it. Suddenly she'd pop up more often, comments on my posts, random calls, even small things like, "Hey, did you change the Netflix password?" I wanted to say, "Yes, Emma, because we're not together anymore." But instead I just replied, "Yeah, I did. Sorry." After that, the silence between us grew louder. And in that space, something unexpected happened. I started feeling lighter. I wasn't angry at her. I didn't wish her harm. I just realized how much of myself I'd been giving away. Out of habit, not love, but that peace wouldn't last long. Because when someone's used to being at the center of your world, your silence feels like betrayal. And soon, Emma would make sure I knew it. After the breakup, things were quiet. Too quiet. For a few weeks, I barely heard from Emma. Then she started showing up again, not in person but online. A heart emoji on an old photo, a comment under a random post, then a message. Didn't know you liked hiking. You always said you hated it. I smiled a little. It was harmless, but I could feel something behind it. That small tug she always used when she wanted attention. A few days later, another text. New haircut? Looks good. Just friendly enough to pass. But the tone, I knew it. It was the same way she used to test my reactions when we were still together. Soft, curious, possessive, but pretending not to be. Then one night, my phone buzzed at midnight. Are you awake? I hesitated. Then replied, yeah, what's up? Nothing. Just couldn't sleep. Miss talking to you. I stared at the message for a long time. The kind of long that makes the room feel smaller. Then I turned off my phone. The next morning, another text. Guess you're too busy now. I didn't reply. That's when it started. The slow, invisible war. Emma didn't want me back. She just didn't want me to move on. Every time I pulled away, she found a way to remind me she was still there. A like, a hey, a memory dropped into conversation like bait. At first I tried to ignore it. Then it got stranger. Mutual friends would mention her. Oh, Emma said she ran into you last weekend. Except I hadn't. It felt like she was orbiting my life again, close enough to watch, but far enough to deny it. So I focused on myself, work, gym, real sleep. Then one Friday, a friend invited me to a small birthday party. I almost said no, but I went. That's where I met Lily. She had the same calm energy Emma never could hold on to. Soft voice, warm laugh. The kind that didn't need to fill every silence. We talked for hours, movies, books. How weird small talk is. It felt easy. A few days later, we texted again. That's when I learned she was Emma's cousin. I froze, but Lily just smiled through the screen. Yeah, I know. Don't worry, I'm not telling her. We kept talking. Not flirting, not planning anything. Just two people getting along when the world wasn't watching. Weeks passed. Then one weekend we got coffee. It turned into lunch. Then dinner. I didn't hide it. But I didn't broadcast it either. It was new. It was quiet. And for the first time in a long time I felt, okay. Then my phone started blowing up. At first I thought something happened. But no, it was Emma, text after text. You're unbelievable. My cousin. Seriously? You did this just to hurt me. I didn't respond. Then she called. Over and over. When I finally answered, her voice was shaking. Are you dating her? Oh, we've been out a few times. How could you? After everything? You said we were friends, Emma. That doesn't mean you can go after my family. Her tone cracked between anger and tears. You're doing this to get back at me. Admit it, I didn't. Because it wasn't true. There was a long pause on the line. Then she said quietly, almost broken, I can't believe you do this to me. And she hung up. That night I couldn't sleep. Not because I felt guilty, but because I finally saw her for who she was. Emma didn't want freedom. She wanted control. She wanted the power to decide when I could move on, who I could see, how far I could go without her permission. After that, things got ugly. She messaged mutual friends, saying I'd always had a thing for Lily. She hinted that I'd been talking to her behind her back. None of it was true, but she knew how fast rumors spread when emotions were involved. Then she messaged Lily directly. You're really going to do this to me? You know what he's like, right? Lily showed me the message, her hands trembling. We sat there in silence for a long time. Neither of us replied. The next day, Emma posted a story, a black and white photo of a broken heart. Caption, some people never change. Mutual friends started asking questions. I didn't answer. I didn't defend myself, because I'd learned something. The more you explain yourself to someone determined to misunderstand you, the deeper you fall into their game. But Emma wasn't done. She started showing up in places she knew I'd be. The cafe near my office, the gym parking lot, Once even outside my apartment building, always with the same line, "It's just a coincidence." It wasn't. And deep down, she knew I knew that. That's when I stopped responding altogether. No texts, no calls, nothing. And in that silence, something shifted again. Not in me, but in her. Because for the first time, Emma realized I wasn't coming back. And that's when everything truly started to fall apart. It's strange how silence can make people louder. When I stopped answering, Emma started making noise in every way she could. Stories, indirect posts, subtle digs that everyone could see but no one could name. At first I ignored it. Then one morning I got a text from a friend. "Hey man, Emma posted something about you. You might want to check." I didn't want to. But curiosity always wins. There it was. A long caption under a photo of her and some random guy. Something about finally finding someone honest and learning not to settle for people who play games. I almost laughed, almost, because underneath all the performative happiness, I could see it, that bitterness she never knew how to hide. A week passed, then two, and just when I thought the storm had quieted, Lily called me. Her voice was low, uneasy. She showed up. "What?" "Emma at my apartment." My stomach dropped. What did she want? She said she just wanted to talk, but it didn't feel like that. I drove there that night. Emma's car was still parked across the street. When she saw me, she stepped out like she'd been waiting. "Really?" I said quietly. "You're doing this now?" She crossed her arms, eyes red. "I just needed to understand," she said. "How you moved on so fast. How you could just replace me." "I didn't replace you," I said. "You left." Her jaw clenched. "I thought we were still us, just figuring things out. You said you wanted to be free." "I didn't mean free from you," she snapped. "I meant free from the pressure." I laughed softly. "You can't ask for freedom and still demand ownership." "Emma," her expression shifted and hurt first, then anger. "You never cared about me the way I cared about you. You broke up with me," I reminded her. "And now you're mad I listened?" She looked away, breathing heavy. Then she said something that stuck with me. "You were supposed to wait. It was quiet after that. The kind of silence that burns more than it heals." She left without another word. For a while things went quiet again. But it didn't last. 2 weeks later, Lily called again, this time crying. She told my family I was the reason you two broke up. Emma had twisted the timeline, telling everyone Lily had stolen me. Her aunt, Emma's mum, even called to scold her. It was chaos. And I realized Emma wasn't just hurt. She was rewriting the story to make herself the victim, so I decided to end it. Once and for all. I went to see her. She didn't expect it. She opened the door, eyes wide. "What do you want?" "To talk," I said. We sat in her living room. Same couch we used to fall asleep on, watching bad movies. Now it felt like a crime scene. "I need you to stop," I said calmly. "Stop talking about me. About Lily, about us." She looked away. "I'm not doing anything wrong." "Yes, you are," I said. "You're trying to control the story because you lost control of me." Her lip trembled. And for a second I saw the version of her I used to love. The girl who smiled at the smallest things, who laughed too loud at nothing. Then she whispered, "You make it sound like I'm crazy." "I'm not saying that," I said. "But you can't keep pretending we're still connected." "You ended this." Tears filled her eyes. "You were supposed to fight for me." That line. It hit different, because I realized, yet in her mind, breaking up wasn't about ending things. It was a test, and I had failed it by respecting her words. I stood up. "You can't punish people for believing you." She didn't reply. Just sat there staring at me like she was watching something break. Not me, but her version of me. I left without looking back. Later that night, Lily texted. She called again. She said she's sorry. I didn't respond, because I'd learned something about people like Emma. They don't really miss you. They miss the version of themselves that felt important when you were around. After that night, Emma disappeared from my life completely. No more posts, no more messages, no more coincidences, just silence. Real this time, and it was the loudest peace I'd ever known. After that night, things finally went quiet. No more messages. No more stories. Just silence, the kind that finally felt earned. At first, it was disorienting. For months, Emma had been everywhere. In my feed, in my head, in every habit I hadn't unlearned yet. Now there was just stillness. And in that stillness, Lily stayed. Not in the loud, overcompensating way that love sometimes tries to prove itself. She stayed softly. She'd send a message like, "Hey, did you eat?" Or show up with takeout when I said I was fine. There was no pressure, no expectation. Just small kindnesses that began to fill the space Emma's chaos had left behind. We started seeing each other more. Coffee on Sundays, movies on weeknights. I'd catch her laughing at something dumb I said, and it hit me how peaceful it felt and how light. One night, as we were leaving a small diner, she stopped me in the parking lot. "I don't want to make things complicated," she said, eyes low. "I know what happened between you and Emma. It's messy. I really like you, and I don't want to feel guilty for that." I looked at her for a moment, and then I said quietly, "You don't have to feel guilty. None of this was your fault." She smiled, but it was the kind that trembles at the corners, half afraid, half relieved. That night, I kissed her, and it didn't feel like a rebound or a reaction or a statement. It felt like coming up for air after holding your breath too long. From there, things didn't explode. They just unfolded. Slow, real, kind. Months later, Emma texted, "I know I messed up. I hope we can still be on good terms." I read it, sat with it, and replied, "I wish you well, but I think it's better if we keep our distance." Then I deleted her number. Unlinked the old accounts. Netflix, Spotify, all those invisible threads we never cut. It wasn't petty. It was clean. And for the first time, my life wasn't half held together by someone else's confusion. It was mine again. Lily noticed the change before I did. "You look lighter," she said one night. "Maybe I finally am," I answered. She reached over and took my hand. No grand speech, no promises. Just that, her hand steady and warm. And in that moment, I realized something simple but true. Love doesn't have to feel like walking on eggshells. It doesn't have to come with fear or permission or games. Sometimes it's just two people who decide to stay, quietly, intentionally. Emma had wanted freedom that she could still control. Lily gave me peace that didn't ask for anything back. And that's the kind of love I'd been trying to find all along. Looking back, I don't feel anger. Emma wanted freedom, but she couldn't let go of control. I learned that letting go isn't giving up. It's making room for peace. With Lily, love is quiet, steady, real. No games, no manipulation. Just choice. So here's the question. If it were you, would you respect someone's just friends request even if it hurts? Or would you walk away and let life bring the right people at the right time?